welcome to the Caravan podcast. I'm Naveed Haq, one of your co-hosts, joined with
Hamza Shazad.
And today we have Zohaib, and apologies in advance, Rattu.
Yeah, Rattu.
Awesome.
Depends on where you're from.
Gotcha. Well, I'm from East Texas, so that's why I always have to apologize.
Rattu. All right.
Okay, there we go.
If you're from Pakistan, Rattu.
Oh, okay. Hamza, that's you.
I mean, I was born in Texas too.
Okay, never mind.
Two Texas boys over here.
There we go.
In New Yorker.
Well, I see that you're sporting the New York Knicks. That tells you how much I know about basketball.
Game 5 today.
Okay.
They're gonna clinch it. It's a rivalry game, right? Boston versus New York. History's there, so hopefully we close out.
Amazing. What made you pick the Knicks?
I mean, I'm from New York, so I grew up out there. It's just something that New Yorkers do, and also I'm a delusional dude, and we always think that we're gonna win every year.
Yeah.
But this is the first year we might actually take it.
You know what? You say delusional, I say hopeful.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. Being Muslim is you have to be hopeful at times,
Exactly.
even when the odds are against you. So you're just practicing the Deen while supporting the Knicks. That's what I'm hearing. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just common for every sports fanatic. Like, I'm a Cowboys fan, unfortunately and fortunately.
America's team.
It's like the same. It's like, yeah, every year we're gonna win it. No, I don't believe that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were good in the late 90s, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just like the Knicks
30 years ago.
Yeah, so
Before
same
we
thing
were
as the Knicks. Hopefully this might be your year. I don't know.
Turning point.
Inshallah,
No,
inshallah.
it's not.
Well, I know I'm not. I get my sports news from TikTok, which is the finest source of news. But I recently saw there's been a lot of conversation around the Dallas Mavericks and it being rigged, with them being, I guess they got first pick now on the draft.
Yeah.
So is the NBA rigged?
I mean, there's a they out there in the NBA, and also there's a they in the Mavs, and I feel like there's some collusion going on, if you know what I'm saying. I don't want to get canceled.
Okay, fair enough. We'll leave it up to the powerful days that are out there.
Yes.
No, but that's kind of wild, man. You go into the lottery, 1% chance.
Exactly, that's what I'm
you
saying.
Come out,
it just doesn't
kinda,
make
Oh wait,
sense.
it's really 1%?
Yeah, no, their chances were 1.7%
for the Mavs to get picked.
For the Mavs, and then guess what? The women's team and the men's team got first pick. So what are the odds of that? Dude, and they weren't even like one of the they weren't even like a bad. Like, they weren't a bad team this season. Like, they shouldn't have gotten it. They were in the play-in tournament. It just doesn't make sense.
Dang.
So, I'm a little frustrated.
Something the Mavs know how to do really well is draft really good white boy talent.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take that.
Yeah, so they're going to get Cooper Flag, and they're good to go. So.
Okay, well, hopefully things pan out for the better.
And by the way, I don't know if the women's team, I may have got NBA Centelled, but I don't know yet. I saw a post on Twitter, but I don't remember the source. I don't know if you know NBA Centelled, but
yeah. What is that?
It's kind of like the fake news of the NBA.
Oh, it's like the Onion.
Right? Yeah, they kind of exactly. Okay. And I've been duped by them too.
Okay, gotcha.
Times.
Well, at least you're honest about it. We'll try, if we use that snippet on the podcast, we'll try to put both of these things by each
I just don't want to get fact checked and ripped apart.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna say it now. I may have got Centelled. All right.
I mean, sometimes I feel like getting canceled for those minute things may be beneficial for publicity in a weird way.
I actually.
Is that a marketing growth hack right there?
I don't know.
It is. So and I don't know if we want to get into it now, but the company I'm at now, we had a crazy email attack on all of our customers. Basically, you can buy email data off of websites like Apollo, etc. Right? There's these sales CRM tools, and then there's websites where you can find out who installed what app. And then there was a company who literally figured out who installed their app and then bought the emails for all those websites.
Wow.
Spammed them that we were leaking their data.
Interesting.
And then I actually played that off, right? And we could talk about it later more, but basically on LinkedIn I posted, one of our competitors tried to attack us, and here's what they messaged everyone. I guess we're so big that now our competitors are attacking us. And then that popped off. We got I think over 200,000 impressions.
Yeah.
And then we got more customers out of it. It got us so much free publicity. And then all of our competitors started commenting it wasn't us, it wasn't us, it wasn't us. So then all their customers saw that Social Snowball, what is that?
Yeah.
So we had some of the most booked demos during that month. It was the craziest thing. But bad publicity sometimes can be you know, if you word it properly, it can actually help you a lot.
We need to work with another podcast to kind of collaborate on this to get attacked, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know how that'll happen.
Yeah. Like, hey, just
take shots at like Theo Vaughn or something.
Yeah.
Though that dude will rip us.
I know. Which
he's pretty funny.
I will be okay with it.
His podcast is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So
yeah,
And,
I respect him.
I
do respect him.
He recently posted on. He fully admitted like the Gaza situation is a genocide. It was posted today. So, which is crazy as Muslims, where we are very openly have like talked about that for a while now. But seeing
debatable,
like that,
bro. I feel like Muslims are still like a little bit too shy.
Okay, yeah.
Expand on that. I mean, like your experience.
I'm running Muslim professionals right now. We have like 8,000 people on there, and I'm constantly seeing like how much people do talk about it or how comfortable they are. Most people still are not comfortable.
Gotcha.
They're scared.
Would you say comfortable not speaking up about it or not believing that it is a genocide?
I would say not speaking up on it.
Okay, got
because like it's hard to. Like especially when you're a person of color, you're already in this like I guess state of, hey, I gotta say the right thing and the right way. Otherwise, all of these people are not gonna accept me as one of their own.
Yeah.
But like, truth be told, look in the mirror. You're never gonna be one of them. So like, just like, dude, just be yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that like, I actually had a conflict at my job now, like, where I work now, and that was one of the reasons why I'm, Muslim professionals so passionate to me, and all these other companies that I'm like working on are so passionate about, because we need to get our leverage back.
Yeah.
Right. That's like one of the biggest things. I was told, hey bro, you shouldn't be tweeting about that. I was like, why? He's like, well, you work here, you represent our company, your Twitter kind of belongs to me. I was like, what? Yo, are you crazy, bro?
Flag on the play.
That's so we had a whole thing, a whole tiff, and then I threatened to leave, and then, I actually ended up getting a raise for it.
Yeah.
So like, people got to know, like, we're usually the people who run the company under the scenes. It's just like there's a person above you representing, but you're doing all the work. You have leverage actually, because if you leave, they have nobody to kind of replace you right away.
Yeah.
And that's going to lose them a lot of money. And that's actually what I took advantage of. And I think a lot of Muslims don't know how much leverage they actually have.
I mean, I think a lot of the things that helps me in these situations where I feel isolation is, one of the hadiths where Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, when they're in the cave, right? And Abu Bakr's talking about being scared or being nervous, right? And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam giving him comfort. It's that, even though it's just us two, that the fact that the third is Allah, that's all you need. And I think when we're in these positions of feeling pinched, where we feel like the whole world or the whole room that you're in is against you, know that you're not alone, right? And if anything, you're actually in the best of company. You're in the company of those who came before you, the other Sahaba and, the Prophet and all of them, that they've been in this situation before. And so when you're taking that uncomfortable decision of being like, you know what, I'm going to stand up for what I know is true, I know it'll turn out okay. And I think you had mentioned that you got a raise in this situation. Was this within the same company or?
Same company. Like, dude, the guy realized, oh shit, I can't let this guy.
Yeah. You realize the power you have.
Yeah.
We only have like 7 employees, and like 6 of them came because of him.
Right.
So, and that's the thing that I'm saying is like, I could tell you there was a guy in Muslim Professionals, for example. He was a CTO of a company and his co-founder, he was a Zionist. And the CTO was Muslim, and he didn't leverage the leverage that he actually had. Like, he didn't like feel confident enough, and that guy took all the equity from underneath him and then got him to leave, forced him to exit. And it was because something in the contract he just didn't review properly, right? And that's like the thing that I made sure I didn't do, because I learned it from him, like the mistake that he made. And that's like one thing that like I would implore all Muslims to do, is like start sharing like the bad things that have happened to you, because then you can like look out for these nefarious contracts. That's what these business guys do. Especially the Zionists, they want you to like lose,
right?
Especially if you're Muslim, they always figure out some way. So Make sure that like before you come in, your IP, like your intellectual property, they want to get all the intellectual property out of you. They want to leverage you, squeeze whatever they can. Like the first day when you're starting, that's like when your leverage like can either be created or destroyed.
And I think you bring up a really good point here. And one of the phrases I was telling Hamza about when we were, starting this, and we always have a desire to do something like this, but I think we always let the fear of like public speaking and these things kind of get in the way. And there's like a quote that I read somewhere was like, closed mouths don't get fed. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think sometimes in this situation, like if you don't speak up about your values and your principles, how are you just expecting people to just know these things? And one of the things I tell a lot of my friends, like who are going into the corporate space after college or if they're interning or something, if you need to step out to go pray, let them know ahead of time, right? Like you are protected by the law to practice your religion, and at least in the US, right? And so you can carve out those things. And I've done that at IBM. I've done that at where my current company is. And alhamdulillah, I think I've been in a place of privilege where they fully understood and they respected that, right? And I think a lot of times we go into these spaces assuming that our religion is a bother to other people. When in reality, I think we're the only ones really thinking that. It's kind of like a weird way of like the
But I feel like
effect.
if they do like stop you from praying, then quit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm telling you, like I've quit so many times. I love quitting. It's the funnest, like the most fun thing ever. Just quit. Like you have to trust Allah. You have to have tawakkul. Like I saw that girl, Ibtihaj or something. I forgot her. Yeah, the Microsoft thing.
Oh yes.
And I'm like, dude, like obviously I would be too scared to do that, but like she got a better job afterwards.
Yeah, I think she's at Yaqeen now. Actually.
Yeah. So like that's what it is. Like if you trust Allah, if you stand up for the right thing, if you walk away from haram, like something better will happen. You just have to be patient. Like I wasn't like that before.
Right.
I would miss Jummah. I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, I'm too scared. I'm too scared to ask.
Yeah.
But I never got raises then. It's so weird. I never got raises. I never moved up within the company. And then I met this guy who was an imam at Oracle. So this is when I worked at Oracle. He was an imam and worked as a software engineer. And this guy was like, dude, why don't you like just tell them like, whatever. And then he's like, I'll just tell them for you. And then he did. And then I was like, oh wait, that's it? That's all you had to do?
It's that easy.
And then out of nowhere, like started going to Jummah with him, start praying like, at the actual like office and stuff, and felt comfortable, confident. Like he's just like, yo, let's just pray in the corner. It's fine.
Right.
And then alhamdulillah, like, dude, the opportunities started coming. I moved up from an intern to like full time to like PM, and the brown boys dream. Yeah. Everyone wants to be a freaking product manager. You know what I mean? But I was like a sales intern. I was straight up a sales intern, like at Oracle, right? Didn't even know like sales ever. So, but that's the thing. Like, I guess like, it did take someone to push me though. Like, and I feel like if there is someone who is pushing you, like one thing that people will do is their ego comes in and is like, who is this guy to tell me?
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say there's a lot of nuggets of wisdom that was kind of just dropped in this conversation.
Absolutely.
But I think like in terms of like being able to make a decision that doesn't compromise your ethical value is a very tough thing to do for most people, right? And so like if you're not like from the beginning, you're not thinking in that direction, right? Like you have to like learn and grow into that type of role, into that mindset. So what was like that moment for you that really transformed that perspective? Was it this imam or were there like other things that happened throughout your career that also like really were like the aha moment to make you start seeing things that way? Yeah,
I feel like there's been a few different aha moments, but in that one particular, it was that imam. His name is Sami El Zarna. He's a Palestinian brother. And this dude just like was like, yo, I don't care what people say.
Yeah, confidently Muslim.
He was just very, unapologetically. He was just like wearing his, like sometimes he would wear his like, dopey or goofy or whatever you want to call it to work. And I was just like, yo, this guy's mad chill. And everyone loves him. Like no one's saying anything bad to him. Like, and he's one of the best engineers here. When you're one of the and this is what I think of, like Yasser Qadhi had like a lecture about this. He's like, try to be like, you know, the best at what you do. Umar Salman also had a lecture about this, like try to be the best at what you do. He was being the best at what he does, and he had so much like, just he had aura, like that's like the best way to explain it. And exactly. Yeah. So that hit me hard, and I was like, okay, that built and increased my confidence. And then it was once I got into the startup world, I had to get screwed over by, you know, they, and I got screwed over out of a lot of money, a lot of equity and a lot of money. And then I got angry. Yeah. But then I channeled that anger to being like, yo, I gotta win now, like for something bigger than myself. That was my second aha moment. And now, like, you know, we're at my third aha moment, which is, okay, cool. I'm doing really well, and I'm making a lot of money for other people, but now it's like, yo, I got to build my own company now. Like, I can't keep building companies for other people as a growth consultant or an advisor or whatever. It's like, now we need to build, and then I got to tell other people, yo, you got to build too. That's what Muslims need to do right now. Like, is they need to be building companies. They're not always going to be successful, but we have to just get over that. Trying, yeah. And help bolster each other.
And I think a lot of times when people talk about, you know, pursuing being a builder or an entrepreneur, you know, one advice that we received from a previous episode with Brother Muhammad, he shared really good advice that I feel like I repeat often with other entrepreneurs that I meet now. It's that as a Muslim, when you are pursuing that risk of being an entrepreneur, and there's a lot of risk, there's a lot of challenges, we're aware of that. But when you're putting your trust in Allah, know that as soon as you do that, you have achieved whatever that it is. So whether your business fails or succeeds, it doesn't matter. The test was trusting Allah and then pursuing it for the sake of Allah. And the barometer, the true barometer of success as Muslims, right? It's not about what we acquire in this dunya, but it is about putting your trust in Allah and still trying your best at that thing, which is ihsan, right? Which is Yasser Qadhi and Imam Umar Salman, like what they're talking about from what you were referencing. And at that point, for me, there's a sense of relief that I'm going to do my best. I'm going to put my trust in Allah. And then that's that. And hopefully at the end of this journey, whether this is successful or not successful, my true barometer is my relationship with Allah closer or not closer at the end of this journey. And if it's closer, alhamdulillah, it's a success. And in that same mindset, I'm probably in a better state now at the end of that journey to try again and start a new business or whatever new endeavor. And I think a lot of times people let that position of fear of failing on the dunya aspect prevent them from ever trying. So when you're in that situation of, man, this job doesn't really align with my values, or this job isn't allowing me to practice my religion freely or comfortably, know that those are really strong indicators that if you do this for the sake of Allah, Allah will take care of you. He's taking care of you before you even needed to be taken care of, right? And I think that's like a really important to understand this element of risk, right, that we talk about, or tawakkul on Allah. But I think in these situations, we really get to live by it or live through it, or it gives us an opportunity to behave in a manner that we can like prove to Allah, yes, I fully believe that I'll be taken care of and I'm doing this for you, right? And I think it's amazing when you're kind of going through your journey here. Was that, you know, obviously it was, you know, who was the brother that helps you kind of go to Jamma? Sammy. So you were mentioning like that kind of triggered all these things happening, right? Do you feel a responsibility now that you're kind of doing that for other people in these different roles in different spaces? Like, when did you go from being advocated for to now being an advocator? Because obviously you're running Muslim professionals and doing all these things. These are very high profile advocating roles, right? And that's a really important transition that's happening. When did that happen for you?
Yeah, I mean, I got married at like when I was 25, and I went through like an existential phase of like, yo, like, am I really, like, if we have kids, am I really like gonna be inspiring to my children? Like, it was just like a random thought I had. And then yeah, dude, like honestly, I was just like, okay, well, what can I do for the sake of Allah? And honestly, like my memorization sucks. Like I failed biology, like straight up in college. I failed. I left. I legit.
No, I didn't fail. But
I legit got an F.
that's where I realized, being a doctor was not for me.
Yeah, no, I had A's in orgo. I had A's in chem. I had A's in physics. I was right there. Like I was research at the the med school, dental school, whatever. Knew the director. I was homies with her. Everything was set.
Nothing
it was
like
just
networking your way to medical
I took
school.
well, I was taking an acting class and I took bio class at the same semester. That was probably the biggest regret because the acting teacher was like, trying to channel this like inner like Zohaib.
Yeah.
And then I got too philosophical. I was like, do I really want to be a doctor? And then I legit like went to the final exam. I was like, bro, like there's no way I'm gonna like get more than a B anyways, like at this point, like, or it was not the final exam, it was the exam before the final. I already failed it, and then I'm like, might as well just fail this final too. And then I just like dropped out of school. So I dropped out of school for like a whole like year. My parents were really pissed.
You weren't even trying to like method act your way into being a doctor.
No. So like, that's like, that's what I'm trying to get at is like, you kind of don't, these things, Allah sends you signs, like essentially. And I realized like, wait,
do you want to clarify that? Because I think I'm just like, does Allah send me signs to fail bio or
no? Allah sends you, like I went into a deep depression. Like I was hospitalized.
How
like
long
it was
ago
that
was
bad.
this?
This was in college.
And so this is what 2014
2014, yeah.
Okay.
Like I dropped out of college and I actually had so many panic attacks. I actually went to the hospital. They kept me.
Wow.
I was with all these like other like people. Like it was like Arkham Asylum, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it was scary. But the one thing that like kept going back to was like, yo, like I started praying.
Yeah.
And like that's what I was missing. I wasn't praying.
Yeah.
So I knew when I was getting married, we're going to have kids, right? Just to go back to what I was trying to get at. I need to do something. Maybe it's not, I can't memorize the Quran. Maybe I can't be like a hafiz. I can't be an imam, but I got to do something because, if I'm not doing anything, for the sake of Allah, then there's really like no real value you're really bringing to society because everything about Islam is like, it's net positive. Mm-hmm. What I was doing before, I was just telling jokes, laughing, just joking around too much, like doing these like shows in the city, improv, whatever. But there was something deep down where I just was not satisfied. Right? So fun fact, I used to perform improv.
Yeah. When I was Googling you, I saw that you minored in theater.
Yeah.
You actually started a improv club at college called Flash Prov, I think.
Yeah. So we started doing some stuff. Yeah.
Which is really interesting, actually. Like most people we talk to, like I'm a big believer that like you have to have like a logical side and a creative side to balance it. Like you have to have these spheres of different areas to focus in. Like something that was really interesting when we were looking, I was like, oh, this is awesome that you did theater. Like it's very like unique. So do you feel that was like an outlet? Do you think it was good? Do you think it was bad? Like what's your real thoughts about it? Like,
I thought it was really entertaining and fun. But like, it was just disappointing my parents every day, basically. And also like, I wasn't that good at it, but what I did get out of it was this like sheer amount of confidence of like, I don't really care if people laugh at me. Like I've done so many dumb things on stage because in improv, like, dude, there was a time I was crawling around pretending to be a turtle, like you just have to act the part. It's and every day. And then
imagine that. Sorry.
it's yes and every day. And like, I feel like that's what life is. Like you get put into a situation and it's like, either you can resist and be like, this is not what I want, and then you start malfunctioning, right? Or you say yes and you're like, this is what it is. It is what it is. Let's just move on, and like let's play out the scene. And actually, that actually got me out of my depression as well. It was that, and then I was talking to Sister Sana and a bunch of other like people within the Long Island community. Like, hey, you kind of have to let Allah like. You got to realize that Allah is in control, not you.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's a good opportunity to say sometimes you got to crawl your way through it or you get stuck in a hard place, right? So here in this situation of going into depression, and I think it is sometimes, I feel like a lot of people say these things of like, oh, I was depressed, and they kind of just say it, but not like clinically been in that situation. And it seems like you were definitely in that mindset. I mean, the scary thing about depression is that you kind of know the answers of like how to get out, but the lack of energy to actually do it is like zero, right? And I think that's something that people forget about. Yeah, I used to be a behavioral health coach, and I always tell people, you already know what it means to be healthy. Like what to do healthy, you already know. You're just not doing it. And I usually tell people like, just focus on 5 things and just do those over time, and you'll become healthy. For you, when you're in that situation, I mean, for a lot of people, just doing one salah is super difficult. And to be able to get yourself to a position of doing one salah while being depressed, what kind of sparked you to like, you know what, let me just try this out?
I would say my parents, and I would say friends. Like literally, my friends would just come over my house all the time, because they were just like, dude, you were just like so full of energy, fun, crazy, and now like I literally wouldn't get out of my bed. I was I locked myself in my room. My mom would have to like unlock the door. She took that door off actually because I just like would lock it so much. It was the people I like that came back and surrounded me, like, you know, my parents and then random like friends and family, even non-Muslim friends. Like, and they were like, dude, you were like so into, you know, all these things and praying and all this stuff. Like what happened? I just wasn't praying sincerely, I guess. I wasn't taking anything really seriously. And I just didn't know who I was. So, I think those were some contributing factors, and then also probably like biological stuff, and then just the people I was surrounding myself. I was hanging out with a lot of atheists, not gonna lie, because I thought they were cool.
Yeah. Was that from like your improv crew, or was it just like all over?
A mixture of improv, a mixture of like just people I used to be in a band too. There's like a lot of stuff. So I used to be in a band too, and then
what'd you play?
I used to sing, and I played the
ukulele. I saw
ukulele, and then like I don't know, just a bunch of random stuff. So me and my friends were in a band. That video you probably saw was like me and my friend just joking around. That was not our band.
Okay,
our band was actually our band was actually pretty decent. I'm just gonna say that. No longer play music anymore, but so like I surrounded myself with so many freaking atheists, bro. Like they were so cool, smoked weed all the time and skateboarded and cut school.
Skateboarding is fine.
And I was like, I didn't like dabble in what they were doing, but I just like thought that people would accept me.
Right.
And I don't know, I maybe watched too many movies, and those people I related with more because they were like the outcasts, right? And I felt like I was an outcast, so that was pretty much.
And I was going to say that's why it's so important to go back to your earlier point of like trying to cultivate and create these communities where you visibly can see people that are Muslim, that are like proud and they're cool, like they got some swag to them, or they got something about it, like an aura. That's what I think a lot of these like rise of all these communities that, I mean, lately for the last couple of years, that's all I'm seeing, right? Like Muslim this, Muslim that, Muslim communities all over the place. Yeah. So it's like, I think that's the right direction, right? So one thing that I'll kind of add into this is like, we started this Muslim principled fraternity in UTD about 12 years ago. And the thought process was very, very similar, right? Like fraternity culture was like, very different and is very unique to what its original basis was, which was really about community service and growth. But we were like, now when you think about a frat boy, it's like this dude that's, coked up or literally running around with alcohol and dating women, right? So like that's what you think about when you think about a frat boy. The start of ALM was literally like, hey, can we create a community where college kids can come and basically feel like they can be themselves and not have to compromise their Islamic identity, right? Because we have this duality of like, oh, this is how I am at work, this is how I am at school, this is how I am with my Muslim friends. And so like, I think like when you just step into a scene and you can be like, hey, this is authentically me.
Yeah.
Right, wrong. You can laugh at me. At least I'm not, crawling like a turtle, right? You can laugh at me like however I am, whatever I want to be, but like, this is me. That's super important and that's super powerful. And, and actually to relate it back to like, that's why I really appreciate what you've done. Like you and the group have done with Muslim professionals. So I think, there's a lot of challenges in the professional environment, right? Like like not speaking out about things that we clearly should be speaking out about. What are, I guess, like, let me translate a little bit. What are some of the unique things that you're seeing today as a community builder, right? Like, what are some of the unique aspects of building a community that you think are the biggest addressable needs that we have? Yeah,
I think right now the biggest issue or the biggest need is we need to create or foster communities that allow secular Muslims and religious practicing Muslims to kind of integrate with each other. I feel like it's always very cliquey. And if we can just have good vibes, I believe that the good, the let's say the more pious people, the religious or whatever, the lucky ones that Allah got over and they're praying, they can bring, if they're cool enough and chill enough and they can hang out with the secular ones, you can get them to stop drinking too. You can get them to stop, whatever, not losing their identity. And that's what I've noticed with Muslim professionals. I kind of try to actually invite non-Muslims to come too. So in our New York event, we had a lot of non-Muslims come. They typically drink, and it was a halal happy hour basically. Yeah. And dude, they were like, yo, I never made this many connections in my life. So, and then there was other Muslims that we met that do drink, and then they were like, I stopped drinking because I hung out with other Muslims. Yeah. But it kind of related back to what I was saying before. The reason why I was so lost was because I didn't have Muslim friends. So this group is selfishly just a way for me to make Muslim friends, unlimited Muslim friends. And if other people are making friends, great. But selfishly, I'm doing it for that. Yeah. Amazing. I grew up in literally a non-Muslim school, non-Muslim neighborhood, non-Muslim everything. There was a tiny little masjid that was in someone's basement type of thing. And I was like, bro, I don't want to listen to this Fabi uncle talk to me and half broken English and Urdu half the time. I barely understand what he's saying. And that's kind of what I grew up with. Dallas, just no offense to you guys, but you guys are living in this fairy wonderland of oh wow, we have the best shaykh and everything. Yeah. I'm telling you, no one really has that outside of here. Yeah. And when we start to judge other communities, you have to remember that is actually what they're going through, what I just described. Right. The cool people were not the people who went to the masjid. Mm-hmm. Those people, everyone was like, dude, I don't want to be like them. They barely speak English. It was very judgmental. Here, I came here for a reason. It was because, oh wow, the masjids are lit. There's basketball courts. There's community. I get to hang out with people. We're doing this. There's no one in New York I know that's doing a Muslim podcast. That's crazy, right? But I think that Dallas is inspiring these other communities. So I'm seeing change in New York, which is amazing, right? But that's what I'm saying. That's what Muslim professionals are all about. That's the need, though. Yeah. It's we need to make it more comfortable for people of all Muslim backgrounds. Even if you're Shia, bro, let's get the Shia and Sunnis to hang out with each other at the very least.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, I love that you said all of that. I mean, I grew up in a small town in East Texas called Texarkana. 903 represent.
Really? You live there?
Yes, sir.
I thought that was a fake
amusement
park or something.
Listen. We have the finest of Americans coming from there. Not counting myself, of course. No, I'm just kidding. Ross Perot's from there. If you're familiar with Texas Instruments, he played a big role with T.I. But
yeah, Ross Perot. I mean, he's pretty involved in a lot of stuff, especially in Dallas.
He made calculators.
Yeah. Fun fact. Yours truly had lunch with him in 2011.
Wow.
Because I was very involved in student counselor growing up. So my town is very similar. I think we're the only Muslim family there up until 2010, I want to say. And we always visited Dallas pretty frequently, but I really didn't have a Muslim identity at that point. It was just more so whatever is cool, I'll subscribe to that. So all of what you said definitely resonate. I mean, alhamdulillah, I think coming here to Dallas, we would always come here every weekend or so growing up, but coming here and like moving here officially in like 2016, really seeing the community growing at the pace that it did here was really remarkable, especially seeing the merits of those endeavors now, right? Like when people come here and they see Kalam, but they don't see when the seeds were planted for Kalam. It looks like a lot of the places that we may criticize or talk about in these other cities, right? But I think we're here at this point, and this is kind of where all these things have a rippling effect, right? You were inspired by one individual just to go pray Jummah, and that cascaded to what you've now created with Muslim professionals, right? That was a seed that was planted back then, and now you're seeing the merits of it, right? But it's the inspiration that you got from someone else who was practicing the deen that kind of led you there, right? In the community that you already had. And similarly, when others see, oh, wait, there's Qalam, there's, Epic, there's VRIC. Oh, it's in America. Oh, it's in one of the most southern conservative Baptist belt states. And this is where the Muslim capital is of North America.
Yeah, it's actually very strange.
What I mean? Like, I remember in 2016, I was volunteering at IAC. This is where Mufti Kamani is a scholar there. And at that point, I wasn't really practicing. I wasn't even praying. But I was trying to, like, maybe if I rub elbows with the cool people there, I can become more practicing, right? But I was doing their video work there. Mm-hmm. And this was during Ramadan. And there was people who drove by and shot guns, right? Trying to threaten the Muslim community there, right? Like, that's what we grew up with too, right? So I love seeing the inspiration from here and going through the rest of the country, right? Even with like the Run Club, the Dallas Muslim Run Club.
Yeah.
I see, SF Muslim Run Club, New York Muslim Run Club. Like, this is it. This is what we need. It's possible. You can do it. Take it further. One of the things that you had mentioned that I wanted to ask you about was opening the circle, right? And I think we talked about this in the previous episode here, is that how was Islam spread throughout the world, right? When I was in Indonesia for a month learning Silat in November, right? And I was going through the museum. And I was like, how did Indonesia become Muslim? Yeah. It's the largest Muslim country in the world. Okay.
That's surprising. I actually don't know that.
Yeah. It's the largest one, right? And they're also the largest
by people.
Yeah. But in terms of, there's 18,000 islands for Indonesia. It's the largest country with the most amount of islands. And I'm like, how did this place become so dominantly Muslim? And it's trade. It was business, right? When we think about Bangladesh, right, or India or Pakistan, how did they become Muslim? Trade. How do we have Muslims in China? How do we have Muslims in Japan? It was trade. And trade is business. Trade is community, right? And when you're opening up these spaces here for Muslim professionals, yes, it is Muslim professionals. Come see how the Muslims do what? Do business, do trade. And when you're in those circles, I've never really, people may be like, oh, that's weird at first. But once they start working through it, they're like, actually, this kind of makes sense why you guys do these things this way, because you've got all these other headaches. And I think sometimes we're shy sharing what is probably the best part of our identity with everybody else, which is what? Which is being Muslim.
Yeah.
Why are we shy to share that? And I think within the community itself, you kind of brought up the Shia element. We get so sticky to the idea of that if you're not in my definition of Islam, then you're not Muslim.
Yep.
And I think it's a very scary place to put yourself in, because fortunately, we are not the judger of me being I can't even judge myself for being Muslim. I'm leaving all of that to Allah.
Yep.
You sort that out. I will do everything that you have told me to the best of my ability to do that. But that taking a role that Allah has designated himself to be the judger and not you, I think sometimes we try to trick ourselves.
I feel like it's hard to get out of that ego though. Ego in general is just a very human flaw, right? But what you just described, I mean, even I've done it. Yeah. It's just hard to get out of it.
How do you, as a leader, right, cultivating these spaces and creating these spaces, how can you make that happen? Because I think that's something like, for example, on Friday this coming weekend on May 24th, here at the Center of Knowledge, which is like it's the Shia version of Qalam essentially, or VIC here in DFW. They do like a Sunni Shia relationship thing. And so I missed it last weekend because I was in New York, or 2 weekends ago, but they're doing it again. And I'm excited to go just because I think those are the interfaith dialogues that need to happen.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great opportunity. So I'm curious how they run it, which I don't know yet. But I'm curious, in your experience so far, how have you kind of cultivated that space to feel safe for both parties?
Move yourself away from being the leader, like, and allow other people to have like representative roles. Like, so basically, like, my philosophy with Muslim professionals, I try to stay away from being in the face. Like, if you go on our website, there's no, I am the director, professor, CEO, master of this. Like, I don't do that. I think I allow people to set up their own events, and sometimes they're Shias that do it, and sometimes they're Sunnis. But guess what? The whole list is just a hodgepodge of people. Right. So if they run an event, we remove that religious element. That person who's running it happens to be Shia. Sunnis come in, they're like, no one's asking if they're Shia. The first thing, they're like, oh, we're here to do business. And then they start talking, and they're like, oh, he's Shia. Oh, he's just a normal guy. Okay. So that's what my strategy is.
Okay.
Like, so actually, fun fact, someone got married the other day,
Yeah.
like, because of the group. Like, they were in a networking
That's
coffee
amazing.
chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, but they came in thinking they're never going to get married until they're 35, bought a house, whatever. The girl was like, I'm just here to like change my job. And then the dude was fixing her resume or something. And then one thing led to another. 2 months later, he texted me saying, yo, dude, I got married, like, because your group.
So did he at least invite you to the wedding?
No, he didn't,
come on.
unfortunately.
He changed the resume. First job for you, wife.
Yeah. So, like, that's actually how me and my wife got married, too. I was trying to fix her resume, and then I never.
Dang, is this a tactic?
Resume workshop.
But here's the thing,
I'll be running it soon.
I never fixed a resume.
Professional sponsored workshop.
Yeah, right?
Oh my goodness.
But it's like, yeah, opposite sex can only review the resume.
Yeah.
No, basically, like, yeah, I never fixed a resume, though. So that was the funniest part of it.
Oh,
all.
you never finished it.
I told her, hey, and then we just kept talking about TV shows and stupid stuff. And then, I don't know, I just like fell in love. And I told my parents, and she told hers. And then we got married pretty quickly after.
Alhamdulillah.
So that's why networking trade is very important.
Yeah.
Look, Prophet Muhammad got married, similar kind of
Oh
fashion.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
you try to get
You guys
married,
know,
start networking.
The playbook's right in front of us.
Do
y'all.
some business.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, yeah, I mean, I think for me, I've recently got more in the space of like being open with my faith, right? And so I think that's the thing that really resonates with what you're saying. And I'm blabbering a lot just because I'm like, yes, like 100% on everything that you said. Now, have you gotten pushback from that? And how do you...
Dude, all the time. I get spammed my email all the time. Yo, the chicken I heard was not HMS certified. Why did you do that event? Or like, hey, there's too many girls and guys here. Like, it's too mixed. I'm like, I know, but I told you guys up front, like, that's what it is. Or, you know, or like, hey, I'm not a scholar. Like, the point of this is just for like career stuff.
Right.
Like, it's not for what, you know, I can't be perfect. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You don't have to come though. Like, I'm not.
Well, I think that I think the sort of, if you're invited to something that's Muslim related, right? You're not supposed to like question the food. You're supposed to assume the best of your brother and sister.
Yeah, I mean, the guy told me it's halal, man. I just listened.
Yeah,
and
Allahu
then,
Alam.
I mean, I didn't go in their back stock and check the box. Like if that,
Why not,
It's just
Zohaib?
you
Why
and a
not?
chicken
that's
and a
typically the
knife.
biggest complaint that we
Really?
get.
That's the biggest one.
It's always about like halal certifications, and I'm
Wow.
like, dude, like, come on, man. Like,
You know what's this is actually, I don't want to I'll say this one off camera. We'll edit this part out, but it's
don't edit it out.
No,
So-
we're definitely not doing that.
one of my friends. So I was in Thailand. Alhamdulillah, I'm really blessed with a lot of friends everywhere. But when I was in Thailand, I stayed with him for 2 weeks with his family, and his dad ran, you know, one of the most successful ice cream companies in all of Thailand, and he sold it about 2 weeks or so before COVID happened, right? And you know, we sit down, and they're Buddhists. I don't think they're really associated with any sort of religion, but we're like talking about religion. And he was like, "Oh, do you eat halal only?" And I was like, "I don't do zabiha, like if it's as long as it's not pork, right?"
Yeah.
However, I do now eat halal only. And so back then I was like, yeah, but I was like, I just don't know about certifications. There are arguments. I just feel like it causes much fitna between Muslims rather than solving it. And he's like, listen, he's an old Asian dude, very successful businessman. And he like puts his newspaper down and he's like, yeah, it's all rigged. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, for example, I sell, he sells ice cream, right? If his truck is driving on the same road that another truck goes and has pork items, that item that he's selling, 2 separate trucks, but since there are 2 trucks who use the same road, it's not considered halal under this certification branding.
Oh my Lord.
Right?
Wow.
Not Islamically, as far as I know. I don't think you can share the same road, right? But he's like, but if you pay a little, bribe situation.
Yeah, so we don't know.
Exactly.
Like, that's,
Yeah,
Exactly.
so basically,
In
you gotta be
Canada-
on every road.
Yeah.
You got to make sure that the
no,
roads
there
are
was a
clear.
guy. There was a Canadian restaurant. Like literally, like they told everyone that they were halal, and then they were selling. They had the certificate and everything, and then they were selling non-Zabiha chicken, and everyone was duped. So
I know in London there's like 3 different variations, and so that I'm just like,
dude, I
props
just don't.
to people
I
who
don't
do
even
it,
care.
but-
Like I eat Zabiha. I try to.
Yeah.
If it's once in a while, I'm like whatever. If it's gonna be food going to waste, I'll be like, all right, I'll eat the chicken or whatever. But yeah, like I don't know. I feel like that's like the worst thing to be debating about, and that's the biggest debate we get in Muslim professionals.
I'm pretty sure we just canceled out 90% of our listeners. I hope not. But
Unapologetically Muslim.
unapologetically Muslim. But I feel like, but again, these are the conversations that need to be conversed about, right? Because I think sometimes that pushes people away from the faith as well. So let's dial in here. So you're obviously, you've gone through this period of depression. You've come out of, this dark hole. What's the first thing you do? Did you go back into university to finish for your degree, or what happened next?
Oh, I think I just went into like a manic mode where I just took 3 credits a semester to finish on time. Like
Locked in.
My parents were like, yeah, they were not happy. At the same time, they were like thankful that alhamdulillah I got out of the dark hole, because dude, I was in it for way too long. But then after that, yeah, I was just locked in. No, like I didn't really like have friends or whatever, and just focused on career stuff. I was like, I gotta graduate, I gotta work at a big company, I gotta do this, do that. That's when like the grind mode Zohaib started, where I started caring about my career.
And when did your wife enter the picture?
We met at a wedding, and honestly, like our conversations were just job stuff. Like all I cared about, I'm telling you, was just
Big
job,
corporate guy.
professional career, making money, whatever. Like that's all that my brain just like consumed with. And then like, alhamdulillah, she came into my life, and then I stopped caring as much, and actually started doing better career-wise. Because if you like make everything about money and stuff, like I feel like you make less money. It's like weird. So
explains a lot for me.
So
now.
that
You also like become more grateful, right?
Exactly.
yeah, I became more grateful, and then I had a purpose to like why I was making money. Before I was just like, yo, I just want to flex on all that. Like I was just in hate mode, dude. Like any girl that I talked to or guy that I talked to, that I was just like, all right, I gotta show them I got money. Like that's what I was at,
Yeah.
So it was just like straight up red pill mode, bro. Like I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
And then she kind of like was this Noor that like kind of just like settled me down, made me calm. And obviously like we both told each other like, let's work on our faith together more. So like not just like pray 5 times a day and make it an exercise, because that's what it felt like, bro.
Yeah.
Like, there was times I would just pray and I was like, all right, I'm done. Like time to go.
Right.
There was no sit down and make dhikr or dua or
Yeah.
anything. It was just like, all right, I did the thing. Right. So that was like one of the things that we talked about before getting married. Like, hey, let's work on that. Right. And just like a few other things. And that's how I met her at a wedding. We were talking about the job stuff and resume. I was like, oh, fix your resume. I'll get you a good job, blah, 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 blah. Because I was worried about referral fees, bro. I was trying to get the referral commission. All right. And then she ended up not getting a job at the company I wanted her. Like, I was trying to help her to get a job at. And
So I'm not getting my.
it ended up working out. It ended up working out though, because like we got married, and she we built a company together, sold it together, and then, you know, just like a bunch of other stuff has happened. Now we have 2 kids, and alhamdulillah, like we're like, you know, it's not always about work anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are times where like, yeah, I'm only thinking about work, just because I have to get something done. But you have to have a balance, like honestly, and your purpose can't be like making money. Like that was my biggest regret for like 5 years. That's all I thought about.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just more of the system that we grow in, right? That is the carrot on the stick, right? And I think Islam teaches us to not make that the carrot on the stick, because the dunya will disappoint you all the time. And so
Yes, sir.
I think there's a phrase of like, you know, when you stop chasing the dunya and start chasing Allah, the dunya will start chasing you. And you talk about it, like your risk increased, right? Because you stopped making that the highlight, the territory.
Get married, I got promotion, had my first kid, got a, you know, whatever, like exit, had second kid, you know, stuff like that. You know, it's just like everything gets better when you just follow the deen, like straight up.
Yeah.
Like obviously I am still a work in progress. I am not perfect.
We all
I speak like I like literally need to like learn more and more and more, but it's the intention. The intention's changed.
Right.
And then honestly, everything else changed with it. I have a really good relationship with my parents. Alhamdulillah. I have a really good relationship with my brothers. Before I didn't. All I care about is money. I was like, you guys are my way.
Yeah.
Everyone was in my way. I was a hater. Literally. I was always competitive. I took everything so personally, bro.
Did that change happen overnight, or was it just like that flipping moment of all these
No,
things? Right?
everyone started hating me, bro. Like everyone was like, dude, you make everything like so like serious. It's like, why do you always talk about, and that's why I'm so like too laid back sometimes now. Like people are like, bro, why are you chilling? Why are you just chilling so much? Like, dude, how do you like, I feel like, how are you doing all this work?
How do you work for a startup?
Yeah, how do you work for a startup, bro? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't think of it like a startup. I don't know. I'm just chilling. Like that was, it didn't happen overnight. It was once everyone left me,
the
isolation mode. And I was like, maybe I am the wrong one here.
Yeah.
It's not everyone else. Cause literally that's what I was telling myself. I was delusional. And that's one thing, like, you know, the whole therapist thing, like, you know, some people will go to a therapist and then they'll just like reaffirm whatever their beliefs are. Mm-hmm. You need a therapist that will like straight up say, no, you are the problem.
The challenge,
bro. Like you are the problem. And I had people who said, you are the problem. And then it took the right person to say it. And then I was like, yeah, you're right. And then I had to look in the mirror, and then that's when things started changing. Like I was an a-hole, bro.
Yeah.
Like I guess we could bleep that out, but I was, dude.
Yeah.
Like straight up, everything was like transactional. Everything I did was transactional.
I mean, I think that's, man. These are the situations like, man, I really wish I was a hafiz. Inshallah, one day we all become hafizes. But it's the phrase like, you know, Allah won't change your condition unless you change the condition within yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Like you are. I will say 99% of the time, I'm my own way. I am always in my own way. And I feel like in these situations here, it takes for everyone to exit the room, and then you realize, oh, I have been the problem.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that's such a, but you know, there's moments where people get to that situation and they're eye to eye in the mirror and they know they're the problem, but their ego will still get in the way. And they'll double down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, some people double down. Like for me, what it was, like my friend died.
Yeah.
And there were so many people at his funeral.
Yeah.
There's so many people at his funeral. And I was just like, that's crazy, bro. And then I thought, yo, if I just died right now, like, are people going to come? I don't think so. And I think that's the pivotal change for me.
Yeah.
Was like our mortality. Mm-hmm. Like start thinking about death. Because I wasn't thinking about death. I was like, I'm invincible. Yeah. And then when I was like, oh crap, like no, this guy just died at 28.
Right. Wow.
And then it just like messed me up. And then I still think about it. But there were so many people, because he was like the life of everyone's like gathering, dawah to everything, saying salam to everyone, remembers everyone's names, remembers their nieces' names, nephews' names, everything. And I was just like, yo, like and every time I go to his parents' house, like I always like feel his presence. I'm like, bro, like you notice it. And then I was like, am I bringing people down or am I bringing people up? Because that guy was bringing people up.
Yeah.
Do I want to be remembered as a guy bringing people down? I think that was like the flip of the switch, bro.
Let's dig into that a bit more, right? Because I think, one of the things that's, taught in our deen is that before you get involved with community work, before you become a husband or all of these things, right? How are you with your family, right? Yeah. I think that's always such an important question because, behind closed doors, we don't know what's happening among any of us, right? And so what we may see someone outwardly as super pious, super involved in the community, but maybe at home it's actually complete turmoil, right? How did you tackle that to recover these relationships and heal these relationships while still pursuing like an entrepreneur endeavor? Because I think there's this notion that if I become an entrepreneur, I have to give up my deen. I have to sacrifice my family. I have to sacrifice the quality of a husband I am or wife I am, or, all these titles that we carry that Allah has said, actually, all these titles are first priority of mastering, and then everything else gets added on. How did you navigate that?
Yeah, so I would say first off, like I had to recover the relationships I had because everyone was just like, bro, you're just too much. So it took some time, and like those people still were like, yo, no, he's just faking it. So then I had to like keep staying persistent. I was like, no, I understand why they think I'm faking it, just because I was like too much of like a D-bag for a while. So I have to fix this. Okay. So I'll be like patient. I'll take the ridicule or whatever, the hate. It's fine. I'll eventually get better. Okay. So past that, then it's okay. Now that relationships are good, how do we maintain those good relationships? I realized time is actually more valuable than money. My wife actually loves me more now when I buy her stuff, because in the beginning I was like, oh, all right, I'm working a lot. I'll just buy her something and, write it off. That's bad behavior, right?
Yeah.
What I started doing was like, turn off my phone. Right now, the next step is I'm like, alhamdulillah, like I have the money to do this. Get another phone line. Mm-hmm. This is the personal phone. This is the, work phone. Work phone is off after 5. See you later. That's the number that everyone else gets. And then this is the phone that I have just for my family. That's kind of like where I'm at now. Make time for your family. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like no, money doesn't matter. Your parents don't care about your money. Like they'll be proud of you, but that's like fake pride.
Right.
Like what they actually care about is like, did you like take care of them when they're sick? Did you take care of them when, or did you like give them a hug? Did you give them a call? Did you turn off your work meeting early just to say hi? Like that's when my mom's super happy with me. That's when my brothers are happy with me. That's when my wife is happy, and kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you show up?
Did you show up? Like money doesn't matter. Like straight up, like there's happy families in the villages of Pakistan right now, bro. Like I'll tell you, they're dirt poor.
Yeah.
Like they might be eating grass for their next meal. Like I've seen it.
Yeah.
Seeing those things in person, that's what's going to change your perspective. Like not hearing it from me, you have to go. Like you have to go see these things. When you start seeing these things, you're like, wait, yeah, like money doesn't actually matter. This is not going to change my life. Moiz Ali actually said that when I had him for my podcast. Yeah. He straight up said, I made $100 million. And then I'm like, now what? Literally, he was like, I got my good clothes. I got my penthouse. Now what?
Right.
And I was like, dang. Like, I was aspiring to be him.
Yeah.
But like, he's aspiring to be someone else.
Right.
And it's like, but then you meet the pious Muslims that are praying, that are following the deen, taking care of their parents, taking care of, family, whatever. They don't really aspire to be anyone but Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Yeah.
That's it. We're aspiring to be like some guy here, but then that person's aspiring to be someone else. When does it end?
Yeah.
Right? But that's why when I started thinking about all that, I was like, all right, it's becoming more and more clear to me. Like
the picture is, yeah.
Yeah, like this stuff does not actually matter. Like, and then that's when I went into vibe mode. Like, let's just have good vibes.
Right.
I'm not competitive with Muslim professionals with the other groups. Yes, I'll take what some other groups are doing and be like, yo, like that's pretty sick. Like what they're doing is sick. I want to do something like that. But I'm not like, all right, and then this is my master plan to get them shut down.
Right.
I hit them up usually and I'm like, yo, let's collaborate, bro. Like let's make this a party. Like it shouldn't just be like just you or just me. Let's make this an us. That's why our thing is called Grow Together, Win Together, like our slogan, because I feel like we could like grow together and also win together every time.
Absolutely.
If we start changing our perspective. You make more money, right?
Yeah.
You're my brother. I know you pay zakat, or I'll assume that you do.
Yeah.
And if I helped you make another $1, that's another 2% going. Like, why can't we think like that?
It's so easy. All the time. Being Muslim is the ultimate MLM scheme.
Yeah, straight up.
That's legitimate.
Yeah, I love legitimate. That. That's the perfect way to say it. Yeah.
And because, like, for example, like all the good things that you're doing, right? That brother who got you to pray, he's getting a little referral bonus from that.
Yeah.
You know? SMS, Sheikh Mikhail Smith, he kind of talked about this in one of his halaqah. He's like, you know, the auntie or whoever funded for his schooling and education to become a scholar, right? He always is like, you know, he told us like, I will never be above you in terms of closeness to Allah, because what you allowed me to do, you're getting reward for that too, right? And like subhanAllah, like the pie is big for everybody, and I think, you know, the American capitalistic mindset trains us to believe that, oh, the pie is only this big. I need to have all of it, right? Whereas our religion teaches us, hey, if there's food enough for 2 people, there's food enough for 4.
Yeah.
Right? There's always room for more. And Allah will put barakah in it, in which you will eat less, but you will feel more full by it.
Yeah.
And there's this really great book that I read. It was called The Happiness Hypothesis. And it talks about the thing that you kind of alluded to, is that there's this capping moment that you have of how much money you need to be happy. And it's like a really low number. And when we're thinking about it here in America, it's like, oh, we need 100 million or 2 million or 3 million. It's like you need way less. And it's our relationships are usually the biggest indicator of longevity in one's lifestyle, right? So it's not about what you're eating or like those things do play a role. But in terms of overall longevity, it's community. And having happiness at home is usually peace, having peace at home, knowing that you have good relationships with your family. That's not something that you don't have that, you know, pull down effect on you, right? Because you know your mama's happy.
Yeah.
You know your pop's happy. You know your wife's happy, right? Man, everything else is just bonus points that after that, right? Your main tribe, your main crew, they're good.
That's what I noticed about Moises' family, bro.
Yeah.
Like their family you saw this.
Yeah.
Like his dad pulled up to the brunch, his brother pulled up to the brunch, and then they were like, crew. Oh, we gotta leave early. We got like a little thing with our sister and her mom later. So alhamdulillah, like I saw that family. I was like, dude, like, what are we worried about money? These guys have money and they're like worried about hanging out with their family.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know, like I don't know.
The North Star has always been given to us from day one.
When are you guys gonna get married?
Well, he's married.
Okay,
he's married.
good.
He has a kid.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I've been telling this guy, like, get
dude,
married, bro.
Inshallah, bro.
This guy's jacked and stuff.
Inshallah.
Mashallah, he's jacked. He's got a nice beard.
Made dua, so
I've been making dua for you. I was making dua for you on the way here. I was like, when's the bees getting married?
Yeah, I'm definitely open to it, but in all this timing.
So how many kids do you have?
I have 2.
2, yeah. And
girl and a boy.
Girl and a boy. What are their age?
2 and I guess 2.5, and then one's about to turn 1 in a week.
Okay, all right, mashallah, man.
Yeah.
I like that too. So I had my daughter, or just turned about 2 couple months ago.
Oh wow!
And it's the same time frame, right? It's like,
dude, it's so hectic, bro.
Oh yeah, you have 2, so you're like a veteran, man.
Okay, well I got eye cream on and everything. I like literally I have like guy makeup on all the time, dude. Like straight up skincare routine and everything.
I recently bought. I'm trying to move away from the Zaya branded skincare stuff, so I bought a bunch of them before I knew about it. So I'm almost done with it. So. But I haven't gotten to the eye cream territory yet. I just have like moisturizer and things like. I don't know why I'm making this about a skincare.
No,
routine
we
podcast,
should. I think
but-
we should talk. We should get guys to start doing skincare. I think it should be
I think you guys
normalized,
should start
bro.
with me, man.
SPF
bro,
is key, bro.
SPF is key.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wear sunscreen every day.
Every 2 hours, reapply.
Okay, I don't do
Generally
every
about-
2 hours.
Oh,
but
okay.
I'll do it at least
Every 2
once.
hours.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. I mean, if you're especially active outdoors, even if you're indoors, a lot of at-home people don't feel like
Yeah.
they have to use SPF, but you still use it.
SPF
Yeah.
50 at least.
Yes. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, the
Correct.
sun ray still comes through the window. So.
Yeah, the UV rays. Even if it's on a cloudy day, UV rays are coming in. So, and I guess for me in particular, I want to be mindful.
How much do you guys sleep?
Not enough.
Yeah, sleep. Yeah.
It's gotten better, like 6-7 hours.
Oh,
But-
Wow,
that's
you're
good.
lucky, bro.
That's really
I
good.
sleep
It
like
used to be-
3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to be worse than that for a good show. But I prioritize it now.
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
I like I'm.
Do you use your Apple Watch when you sleep?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I used to have an Aura ring before.
How was that? I was
Pretty
looking
good.
at
I
them.
liked it.
Yeah.
But I like the convenience of an Apple Watch more, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I can play basketball or whatever I'm playing with it. The Aura ring, you have to take it off.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
I
finger.
don't have my Aura ring on right now, but I do use that. I've used it for almost 4.5 years. So I got lucky with it because when I bought it, it wasn't a subscription model, and now it is. But a lot of people complained. It's like, hey, we got this one over Whoop because it's not a subscription.
You know the
model.
Whoop guy might be Muslim.
I believe he is.
I think he's Muslim.
Yeah.
Dude is killing it.
Dude,
Yeah.
a couple of my friends use Whoop, and they're like really like, hey, this is amazing for like intense analytics and data
I hope
tracking.
he listens to this and
Yeah, I
gives
know,
us free
inshallah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
I want a Whoop. It's so expensive.
It is really expensive. A lot of hate is going towards Whoop on TikTok right
Yeah,
now.
the
Price increase.
Yeah, the
Oh,
price
yeah.
increase.
Was it because of the tariffs?
No,
No.
they made their subscription model like you have to pay for a whole year. Before it was month to month.
Yeah.
Now they're making you pay up front and
I
then
realized everyone was dropping off.
And you also have to get the new device too. Like, there's a lot of like.
Ah.
yeah,
Interesting.
they're
It's
forcing
so-
everyone to get the new one.
Do you watch Black Mirror?
Yeah.
Have you watched the latest season?
No.
Okay, so the latest season, it's like the first 10 minutes, so no spoilers. But the whole thing is like, this lady is dying, but there's this new thing that if you put this on your brain, it can keep you alive and be normal, right? And so, the husband gets it. He's like a blue collar worker. And you guessed it, it's a subscription model. And you can kind of see where the rest of that 50 minutes of the show goes. But yeah, so
I hate subscriptions, man.
Same.
I like legit hate subscriptions so much.
the right to own is something I'm really big on.
Yeah.
And I think that's an era that is drastically getting further.
It's
and
like how
further
much
away.
money do you need to make like as a company? Like just
Dude,
like
it's
every
endless.
single person's doing this. Even my car is like, hey, you want service reminders like on your car? Like you want the light? You got to pay for Blue Link, and I'm
No
like, dude,
way.
yeah, bro. Like
BMW got heat for that for the heated
That's
seats.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wait,
micro-
they made you sign up for a subscription.
Well,
for
they
the-
got so much pushback. They were like, hey, because these are things that's already in the vehicle. They're like, hey,
Oh
if you
my
want
gosh.
these features, you have to pay.
That's why we
X,
need
Y,
more
Z.
Muslim entrepreneurs, bro.
Dude, I mean, I'll opinions I'll share offline. But yeah, it's never ending on the subscription side. So okay, you had mentioned also. Is this a good time to break?
I've been hitting record again, so we can just keep going.
Oh, cool.
sweet.
I'm just gonna do that.
Okay, gotcha. I
Okay.
was like, what was happening? Okay, so you built a company with your wife.
Yeah.
That is, that's some would say that's crazy.
It
So-
was crazy.
It's crazy.
We sold it within a year. Like we grew
Walk
it-
us through that. That's
Yeah,
a fast
please.
turnaround.
So I worked at this SMS and email company called Attentive. I was working under like the CEO and stuff. So I got to meet a lot of really, really big customers. And then behind the scenes, a lot of them were like hitting me up all the time. Like, hey, can you consult? Can you consult? And I was too scared to do any sort of like conflict of interest type of stuff. So then I told my wife, I put her on and basically said, hey, let's like start a company. You're like the face of it, whatever. I'll send you the leads. And then we basically like got a bunch of customers, like about 30 paying like 5 to 10K retainers a month to do their SMS and email marketing. So that was an experience. We hired like 4 or 5 people right away, got health insurance and for the employees, like we were paying people at least 60K a month. Like it was pretty quick. Within the first 6 months, it got that fast.
Exploded.
And then the dark side of myself came out again, where I was like, all right, let's keep growing this thing. And it was just not sustainable. And we like literally, we would go to bed and we're talking about this stuff. I would wake up in the morning, I'm talking about business. And then she was like, bro, like, yo, I can't do this anymore. And she just like broke the news to me. And then I was like, wait, what do you mean? Like, and then I was like irate. I was like, bro, like we got something going here. And then she's like, no, I can't do this. Like all day, every day, all you talk about is work. We just got married. Like, and it's been a year. Like, oh, wow. You got to chill.
You had just gotten married at the time.
Yeah.
Oh,
like it
wow.
was
Man,
like our second year in, and she's like, you got to chill out. Like you're working too much. And like, you put me in this, like I was working like a normal job before. And now I'm doing like a freaking company with like, that's doing what, 400 or 500K in annual revenue, like within this first 6 months.
Yeah.
So then my friend came along and he was like, yo, bro, I'll buy it off you. Like, I'll buy those contracts off you. So we sold the contracts. I didn't know how to really negotiate deals. So honestly, like I sold him the contracts for like almost nothing, like maybe like 150K.
Yeah.
For all those contracts. 'Cause I was like, oh, they're going to churn anyways. Like at this point, whatever. And I can buy a Tesla. So I bought like a Model Y for my mom. Like that's like literally what happened. So that was like a cool experience of like starting company LLC, hiring employees, and then after 1 year selling it. That was an interesting experience. Did not make that much, but you know, Alhamdulillah, got the experience. She actually ended up working with that same agency, so she stayed on, so she didn't get fired. So that was kind of like the part of the contract. You keep the contracts. She'll come in as an employee, and then 2 other employees like came in and merged. I left. I like exited or whatever from that, and then that's when the startup hustles started. So I started getting hit up for like, you know, hey, like, you know, come in as growth guy, whatever. And Social Snowball became the company that I came in. That's when I knew how to negotiate. Mm-hmm. And dude, like full on negotiation period. Like I was like, yo, dude, I want 10%. I just like was insistent. I was like, I know what I'm bringing to the table. He was like, I don't know, man. I was thinking more like 0.5%. I was like, his advisor was an Israeli dude, so he was like super like negotiating like mode, and he was like, don't tell him, don't let him get over 1%. And I was like, I already know how this is gonna go. He's gonna push you back. I'm gonna push you back. How about you tell him this guy's not gonna join unless he gets 5%. Okay. Yeah. So, and the if, ands, or buts, and then we'll settle at that. Like, let's just keep it simple. So then basically how we structured the deal, I bought 2% equity myself, 4% was options, but I made sure, and this is a tip to everyone here, I'm going to look into the camera, one of the cameras here, you need to read the contract and make sure that you have accelerators in your contract for your equity. If there is an acquisition or some sort of exchange of hands, you have to make sure that you get the equity up front and it's fully vested. Okay, so if they sell within the first year, like they could play the whole like, okay, well, you didn't stay here for 4 years card, so you only get your first year, really good tip, and then you're screwed over. The other thing that you can get screwed over is, and this is what I'm kind of like annoyed about a little bit, is options versus RSUs. Okay, like stocks, actual stocks or stock options. A lot of people don't know what options are and what they entail. So options, you get the right to own stock. You still have to buy them after the acquisition. So if someone acquires you, there's a strike price that you have to pay, and then there's the exercise price. The strike price is what you owe the owner of the stock, which is my CEO right now, and then the exercise is how much the stock is valued at the point of sale. So let's say strike price is $6. That's what you and the other person agreed. That, hey, if there's any sort of sale or anything that happens, like, or if you want to leave and you want to pay for your equity, pricing. That's your guaranteed price. And then there's a sale price, exercise price. Let's say that's $18. Right. So you have to subtract 6 per share, 6 by 18 minus 6, and then it's $12. So you're actually making 12, but you're paying taxes on that 12. And sometimes that tax is on short-term capital gains. So you lose another 30%.
Most times it's actually short-term capital.
Yeah. So let's say, hypothetically, if I went through a sale right now, like, and we are going through a sale right now, and I was to make $1 million because of short-term capital gains and because of strike price, let's say hypothetically it was the same ratio. Like, let's say $10 was a strike. Let's say $20 is like whatever. I'm going to leave with like 500K. I'm not literally leaving with $1 million. Because I gotta pay taxes on the short-term capital gains, but the difference between the strike and the exercise, and then I also have to pay the strike.
Yeah.
Like, don't forget that part, and a lot of people forget that part. So when you negotiate, try to push for straight up equity, like stocks. Do not sign up for options. I made that mistake this time.
Good to know.
Like with Social Snowball.
With Social Snowball,
Dang.
I did 2%. I own 4% options. I should have just gone for 6% options. I mean, stocks completely.
Yeah.
So like, this is just a tip. I made that mistake. We're about to, and obviously we're going to air this after so I don't get in trouble. But yes, we are about to exit. I can't disclose how much, but I made that mistake. And I am like trying to talk him like into, hey, can you just cover the strike price for me? Because that could be like a potential car, bro. Like I can buy like someone a car or something. Like
a fun for your kid.
and then you're paying less taxes. I could have paid long-term capital gains.
Right.
And that's just like stuff that we need to talk about. That's why another reason why Muslim professionals exist because I'm angry. I'm angry at myself getting effed over. All of us are getting screwed over over and over and over again. We need to fix that.
I mean, don't make an individual lesson can be a collective lesson. Right?
Yeah.
If spoken about and talked about, and that goes from the spiritual side to behavioral side to professionals, right? And so, I mean, I know I had my, I had a catastrophic, screwed over early in my college career, which Hub's a witness, but.
You guys went to the same school together?
Yes, at UT Dallas. Yeah.
That's why so you guys have been boys for a minute.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's funny, you want to tell our family discovery that we had?
No, you go ahead.
So my second cousin was actually best friends with Hamza's dad. And I had no idea until later on, like years after our friendship, because we did business together. And I was on Facebook, and I was like, why is my sister, like my second cousin's wife, commenting on his Facebook post? I'm like, what world did you guys cross? And then I was like, hey, how do you know so and so?
That's crazy.
And he's like, you know so and so? I was like, yeah, she's family.
That's
and that's what he told me. I was like, what a small world.
Yeah, see, Frisco back then.
Because he's not Bengali either. That's the thing.
Well, like I grew up in Frisco.
Yeah.
That's dope though.
Yeah,
Pakistan, Bangladesh connection right there.
Man.
Yeah,
we need more of that.
I mean, that never. I don't know. Like I always.
In America, it's not a grief.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most people are in a generation like they could care less about.
I
what
feel
their
like
background
they
is.
do after the first generation. For some reason,
After the first
in
generation.
New
Yeah.
York, it was always
Yeah.
like Bangladeshi fish jokes.
Well, the
Like
thing is-
Pakistanis would be ripping on Bangladesh
Yeah.
for no reason.
I'm very thankful for my father because my father was a freedom fighter and he was in the front lines and everything. And when I asked him about it, he was like, it doesn't matter now. We're all Muslim. And I love that mindset.
Yeah.
Like
That's the truth.
Yeah, that is
It
the
is the
truth.
truth.
You know,
It is
and like
true, yeah.
for me, there's only one.
Yeah, we gotta
truth.
cut the racism out, bro. Like that
We
that
really
whole
do.
nationalism stuff
All-
in Islam.
bro,
Like we
yeah.
all printed by the Brits, man.
Exactly.
I was studying
Colonialism,
even
yeah.
even I was studying like India and like Pakistan situation, right? I think I went back like 3 flags. There was a flag where it had like Hindu icons and the Islamic crescent, right, on their like flag. And Yasser Qadhi actually spoke about it one of his like holocaust very recently, speaking about how like there actually wasn't that much beef until the British
there
came
wasn't
in,
actually.
right?
The British actually. So Hinduism was actually just a bunch of fragmented tribes,
Right,
And
right.
they convinced them that you're all one thing,
Yes.
and then Muslims are your enemy.
Yeah.
and then they said the same thing to the Muslims.
I mean,
and then that's what ended up happening.
bread and butter. I mean, even with the
Israel Palestine stuff is
Yeah,
exactly the
same
same
thing.
playbook. It's the same playbook in South Africa. Same playbook.
Thing,
It's like
man.
kind of
same thing. It's history. When you have the playbook, there's a really good book called the Jakarta Method that really ties into how U.S. imperialism kind of gets really knee deep into these operations.
Yeah.
And it's if a playbook works, you kind of just rinse and repeat it. There was a guy that I didn't rent him out. He was a potential tenant for one of my apartments. And he came in and I was like, I didn't rent it to him, just to clarify. But I was like, what do you do? And he's like, I'm a, engineer with like Honeywell. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, so what brings you to Dallas? He's like, I just left Israel. I was like, oh, what did you do there? This is before October 7th. And he's like, I was one of the engineers for like the anti-missile like defense system, the Iron Dome. And he's not a Zionist, and I was like, so how was your time there? He's like, I hated it. I'm like, interesting. And then we talk a bit more, And then eventually get to the topic of like revolutions and stuff. And he's like, yeah, it's really easy to do it. The government just goes in and just hands out $100 bill to a bunch of poor people just to go start a protest over anything and anything. And that causes enough media buzz and all these other things. And that's essentially like happens in all these places. Like
that happens in Pakistan all the time.
Yeah,
yeah,
all the
they do that
time.
right before elections.
Yeah.
I've been stuck in traffic when they get the highways blocked. They'll
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
take all like the big trucks, the colorful trucks, and they'll pay them out to like
Right.
just block the highway.
The destability, man, the strategies for it is, but I don't want to make this a political podcast as much as I'd love to. Okay, so you sold the company.
Yeah.
And
Well, let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? So, what is Social Snowball? I
Oh,
guess.
yes.
Like, I don't think we've ever actually, like, for our audience, like, what does Social Snowball actually do?
So we're an influencer and affiliate platform for Shopify, like e-commerce brands. So essentially, think of Robinhood, and when you sign up, there's like this link that pops up that tells you, hey, if you refer your friends and family, we'll give you some free stock. So essentially, Social Snowball does that, but for e-com brands.
Wow. So it makes it super easy to.
Turn everyone into an
Yeah.
affiliate. And then on top of that, you can, search up, or not search up, but rather track all the different pieces of content people are posting on Instagram and TikTok, and then find new creators that are talking about you already. So let's say if you reviewed a product, or someone reviewed a product, you can see it on the platform and then reach out to them, turn them into an actual affiliate. You can also, email people to become affiliates. So that's essentially what we do. And I think that the influencer strategy is huge right now for most brands, regardless if you're e-commerce or not, because paid ads are super expensive, and influencers, if you find the right ones, if you put them on, it might pop off. So like, for example, for Muslim professionals, that's actually a strategy that I have. So every event, I'll give a few free tickets to influencers that have X amount of followers on Instagram, so then they can capture the event. I don't tell them that, but I know that they had to create content, otherwise they're not going to be influencers anymore. So I throw these like pretty parties or whatever, because I know they're going to take pictures of it, and then that's how we grow. That's the same way I grow Social Snowball. That's the same way I recommend D2C brands to grow, right? It's leverage influencers, but you don't always have to like pay them tons of money. You can set them up on like a per sale basis, or put them on, run ads through their account and stuff like that. So it's a win-win situation. That's kind of what I recommend, but that's what we do.
Okay. So you're basically a platform, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but you're basically a platform that connects like an e-commerce brand that's launching to content creators or influencers.
So we don't connect, we just track. It's just
Okay.
tracking and payouts and stuff like that. So it's a CRM.
Okay.
A relationship management system just for, the affiliates and the influencer manager.
Okay. So how are you tracking that? Like, is it vanity metrics, or like what type of metrics are you specifically looking at that you think are the most important for it, like an influencer that wants to sign up for your platform, or even an e-commerce brand? Like,
So basically, if I'm an influencer, what I would look for from a brand is like what their commission is and what their product is in general.
and they can preset this before they
The
join your
brand
club?
brand presets it for the influencer, yeah, and then they could join the program. And then on the flip side, the brand, what I would look at is the number of link clicks, the number of impressions their posts are getting, and then the sales. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, and then obviously you can start tracking, hey, how much does it cost me, like a CPM metric, a cost per mil. Like you can see, okay, when I run paid ads, my CPM is, let's say, $7, but with influencers is $4. Okay, let me double down on influencers. Right? So Olipop actually grew, and Poppy, both are like constantly in an influencer war. They grew, to what their valuation. Poppy just sold for $1.9 or $1.6 billion to Pepsi.
Yeah.
Their whole strategy was influencers. Olipop is also the same. They got into retail. I know Steven Vigilante. He was one of the first employees at Olipop. Great a story he told me. He was like, how we got into the Walmart market was by getting our Olipop cans on all of the African American, Spanish, brown people podcasts. and like their content.
Amazing.
Because majority of Walmart
Buyers.
listeners,
Yeah.
I mean Walmart buyers, listen to those podcasts.
Yeah.
But instead of shilling the product, we just placed it just like Apple would place their laptops in every movie.
Yeah.
Or Audi places their cars in Marvel movies and stuff like that. Like that's all we have to do as Muslims. So like, look, I got a product right here. Yay
Show,
nuts.
don't tell. Oh, dude.
Okay.
I went through an entire bag of Yay nuts.
Let's open up
literally
some of these nuts, okay? Like,
They're so good.
you know, this was crazy, but this is a D2C brand that came to the Muslim Professionals thing. He flew in
Dude, these are, I've already, like,
$300 the same day. Was like, yo, bro, I didn't know about your event. I'm pulling up. Came in with a bunch of samples. We quickly put them in, but like, look at the branding.
amazing.
Right?
Spectacular.
This guy is pulling in $1 million already, 20 years old, off of just affiliates. TikTok Shop.
As a nutrition major, I gotta say, this ain't bad.
The ingredients are clean. I mean, but
Pretty
that's the
good
thing. This is a Muslim Hafiz that started this company.
That's awesome.
Would you have
Amazing.
expected that looking at the package?
No, it looks like a legit brand.
Because
is a legit brand.
Because Muslims can make legit brands.
Exactly.
Ingredients.
That's why I brought the nuts. It wasn't a product placement. It was to prove to people that y'all need to just spend a little bit of money on design, okay? Hit up all of the hijabi bloggers and the food DFW food bloggers and all these, the dudes that are doing the funny basketball videos. Just hit them up. Give them some of your product. Have them make some videos. Your stuff will start to pop, and then
Ramadan
you
hoops.
start hitting up the non-Muslim people, right? So the Muslims will help you. Like this guy, he's popped off, doing $1 million on TikTok Shop, and mashallah, this guy's a hafiz, 20 years
college
old,
student.
college kid, doing $1 million. Like you guys can do it. Like there's no excuse.
Right.
Like I was impressed, and I was like, damn, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
But like, it's like influencers are the way. Yeah, take them, guys. I brought them for you. But basically, influencers right now are the key to like growing, your brand. I mean, who brought all the awareness for Palestine? It was influencers. It was TikTok.
Well, even the journalists on the front line, like they are influencers.
Yeah.
Right. I think whether we like to admit it or not, everyone is an influencer if you're using the platform, right? The definition of an influencer is like, can you influence somebody else?
Yeah.
Whether that be one person or 100. I mean, Prophet Muhammad was an influencer.
Saw some, yeah.
Right.
He actually sent letters, right? Like he had the Sahabi send letters to the Byzantine Empire, the
Exactly.
Persian Empire, and all that. Why did he send it to the leaders? Right. And this is the one thing I just had this argument
It's a
with my
growth
boy.
hack.
Yeah, it is a growth hack. And like, I know this is going to sound a little bit controversial, okay? Or maybe a lot,
We're
but
past that bar. I feel like
giving,
this episode.
I think that we need to start giving dawah to the cheerleaders and the football players, and not always like spend so much. Like we should also do the, like the people that no one knows, like the uncool kids, right? But like once we hit like one of the football players, like a Sneeko, right? So many people converted because of that.
Yeah.
Obviously they're gonna have whatever, like their lapses or whatever.
Right.
But the thing is that we need to start giving dawah to like influential people, and actually like it'll take more time, but the ROI is just huge for the Muslim community because we get respected more. We get, like we'll get into the rooms more often that we otherwise would not have gone into because everyone loved that, let's say, NBA player. Like Kyrie Irving, for example. He
Right.
brought us on the map.
Yeah.
He made fasting kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I know people who have converted because he
the
was
same-
the guy who converted to Islam.
Same wave happened with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right?
Yeah.
Back in that time, right? I mean, he's one of the most successful basketball players that ever existed, and he repped Islam well, right? And I think, I guess we see that with Khabib now as well, and many other athletes. Who's here locally? Hussein Abdullah?
Hussein and Hamza Abdullah.
Yeah, both
They've
of
been
them.
here for the longest time.
Yeah.
Basically, they're two NFL players.
I'm familiar. Yeah.
So, and
And they, I remember when I was like a kid, literally going up to like watch them, but that's the type of stuff that I
And,
think
and
is
they,
so cool,
they
man.
rep it
Like,
unapologetically.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing. Like,
Muhammad
that's what
Ali,
we need.
man.
Yeah.
Through and through.
It makes it cool
Yeah.
for us, and then we downstream effect. Just like the thing that we were talking about before, like Sammy, the imam that prayed. He was my like Muhammad Ali of the office.
Right. Yeah,
he just
yeah.
did not care, bro. Like
Yeah.
I'm telling you, my guy would pull up in a thobe sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
he just did not care. He's like, oh yeah, I got a khutbah today. Like, you know, like I have to give a khutbah today, so like I didn't want to change. Like, you know,
Own your identity. I
Yeah,
think that's
man.
the thing, right? I think we're so afraid of being an outcast. The reality is you're going to be an outcast.
and you don't need to
either
be
way.
perfect right away.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Absolutely.
that's one of the
you
biggest
just have
things.
to be authentic. I think that's the
Yeah.
thing, or work
Yeah.
towards being authentic,
Yeah.
because it's a challenge. Like
Yeah.
to like one, admit like, hey, this is how I am, and then two, like recognize like this is the type of improvement that I want to make, and you need that other voice, that community to tell you, like,
Right. Have encouragement, right? I mean, I think it's don't make your bad habits the belief that it's okay, but
Yeah.
acknowledge that, I have my nuffs, I have my challenges, I'm working on them. Here are the things I've improved on, right? Where there's so many areas for us to grow in our entire lifetime, right? And I think I like to believe that we're all trying our best, right? And I think sometimes we overlook the element of assuming the best on others, and it's easier to find reasons to criticize versus taking the time and finding reasons to, you know, like, oh, well, maybe they actually are doing the right thing, but they had X, Y, Z happen, right? Thinking the best of others, I think, is so key.
So I'm going to transition a little bit. So let's say I'm a Muslim entrepreneur that has some like consumer product or some e-commerce based product that I sell online.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is what are some of the initial like hacks that you would recommend that someone does, right? So you kind of mentioned a couple, which was like reaching out to some community members that you know are influencers and stuff like that. But like, do you have like a playbook of how to do it, or is it just kind of like be innovative? Like, what's your kind of thought process?
Yeah, I think like keeping a pulse on like the different social channels and what they come out with in terms of tech. So right now, TikTok Shop is like the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram is coming out with their own Instagram shopping. Becoming the first movers to those type of platforms will open you up to just having that advantage over someone else, first movers advantage. So essentially right now, TikTok Live is something that like not a lot of brands do. I know brands that started doing them and they're pulling in 500 to 100, like 1 million impressions for just going live for 1 hour. And it's the dumbest content. It's just like, there's this company called Prime Bites, for example, that's on our platform. And it was just a lady eating brownies for an hour.
I could do that.
Straight up. And she got
I could
almost,
eat yay
she
mess
made
for an hour.
$3,000 in 1 hour. Like, and think about the impressions she got. So she got 480,000 impressions during that hour. That means that 480,000 eyeballs saw Prime Bites' logo, Prime Bites' brownie, whatever. I'm telling you now, like most of the brands that I see here locally in Dallas or locally in New York that I know that are owned by Muslims, they'll have great packaging, though, you know, whatever, but they wait till someone else has done something
to do it,
and then they do it, and then they become way too late in the game. Like Amazon, for example, there's only one like main, like, you know, big guy, Gibran. He's like the main dude, Utopia, whatever. For Amazon, because he jumped on it right away and he got the #1 bestseller for like multiple different product categories. Because the way it works is whoever got in first, whoever got the free exposure first, they kind of and they had a decent product, they'll like stay and they'll keep having it. You know, other people have to they have a barrier now. They have to run ads against you, they have to price down against you, they have to do a lot of different, you know, things to essentially be competitive, right? But if you come in, let's say right now TikTok Shop is the thing live. If you can do it, that would be great. Instagram shopping, Snapchat is coming out with their own shopping. So if you don't keep your finger on the pulse on these things, that's like the first thing I would do. Look for those opportunities. The second thing I would do is try to build some sort of collaborative relationships with synergistic products, so complementary products that you have. So for example, like at the Muslim Professionals event, I was introducing people like Herthy Foods. He makes like marshmallows to the cream mullah guys, because I was like, wait, you guys can make a s'more ice cream. That's halal.
Yeah.
And it could be cream mullah x Herthy. Guess what happens there? The traffic from Herthey and the traffic from Creamwalla both get advertised as product. That's what Barbie did with Olipop. Olipop and Barbie did a collab. Cardi B does the collab with McDonald's, right? Like, why did they do that? So we need to start doing like collabs, like, you know, brand and brand.
Right.
And then also, let's say celebrity to brand, right?
And your ad spend kind of goes double the distance now, right?
Exactly. You don't
Yeah.
need to spend as much on ads. Then I'd rather give up a little bit of equity and some profits on sales to like an influencer, like a celebrity, than like pay Facebook money, bro. Like Facebook doesn't guarantee a sale,
Right.
but these celebrities do. Okay. So like, for example, and I'll tell you just openly, Muslim Professionals, we sponsor Ansari podcast because one, I want media creators to win, and like no one in the Muslim space for some reason believes in media. They don't sponsor. Are you guys sponsored?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay,
Not
well,
yet.
let's
Inshallah.
talk, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Inshallah, let's talk after this. But basically, like, that is such a hack. Everyone listens to the content,
Right.
but then y'all like don't want to support that creator, and then you're like, oh, why did that creator just stop doing it?
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, this is a trend that I notice in Muslim-specific communities. One, I actually don't see a lot of Muslims in marketing, to be quite honest. Like
No.
very few that I know of.
Yeah.
I wonder why. I really don't. I don't know if you have some insights on that.
I mean, our community leans that way, right? Doctor, engineer, professor, or lawyer, right? Like being, I mean, you're talking about being in theater, right? Like anything artistic, there's some pushback against our communities. I think now we're seeing a lot of these things happening because few of us did take the risk of going into marketing and branding and have been, you know, like, oh, they ended up becoming successful because they
You know
did
the
do
event we
that,
did on
right?
Sunday?
Yes,
You know who
yeah,
planned
yeah.
it?
Who?
Ruba, and she's a doctor.
Wow.
Amazing, by the way,
She's
that
a
was
doctor.
that was
Yeah.
an amazing.
She left
event.
medicine to do events.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So
that's
she
big.
was like,
There
I
you
never
go.
wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
My parents forced me to.
Exactly.
So like that's the thing. That's the type of creativity we have in the community, but we hinder it by putting this like pressure. And I know this. I know that like it's not just parents; it's friends pressuring other
Yeah,
friends
it's
too.
the whole
Like
community
when
out
I
there,
went to
yeah.
Stony Brook. Stony Brook is a research university. Like
Really good university.
when I dropped out of pre-med, I was like ostracized. Like literally, bro. Like people deaded me. That's why I was hanging out with all the atheists.
Yeah,
kid.
yeah.
Like
'Cause they
they
accepted you.
literally were like, yeah, they were just like, oh, we're pre-med dropouts too. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Let's go skateboard and just cut class. Like, dude, I can't tell you how much basketball I played. Like, I played 6 hours of ball a day, dude. Like,
Yeah.
In college?
In college, I would play basketball all day. I would skip class. Like, I didn't care. And it was because I was hanging out with those kids. But I learned something from them. They were just like, yo, we want to just do what we want to do. And then I realized, wait, like, people can do that? Like, you know what
Make
I
a
mean?
living.
Like, you know, like, and you can still make a living. Like, so I know these kids, like, became photographers and artists and stuff, and they're killing it. But that was because they just have this irrational confidence that they'll just make it.
Yeah.
And I think Muslims don't have that. Or, like, not Muslims, but I think, like, because Muslims
It's
are
harder
mostly
to.
immigrants,
Yeah.
right? We're living a safety,
Yeah.
like, mindset. But one thing that my dad told me and my mom told me was, yo, you know, like, we already did the grind for you guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, go do what you want. It's
Yeah.
fine. Like, if worst case scenario, you'll just live with us,
Right.
right? So when I got into that mindset and I became okay with living with that, a lot of guys, especially dudes, will be like, there's no way in hell I'm going to live with my parents. I'm too manly man for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But then they end up still living with their parents for like until they're 35. I'm like, bro, just like, why didn't you just give up on the pre-med dream? Stop being a super senior and applying to the Caribbean. You're not going to get in. Just do something else. I know a lot of guys like that. And they had that like macho mindset. Like,
Yeah.
get out of that. Do what you're a great writer. Why aren't you doing that? I see you doodling like amazing work. People will pay you tons of money for that. Like I paid everyone at that event, bro. Like,
Yeah.
like nothing came for free. And I was happy with it. Like I was happy to pay. People are happy to pay people if the work is good. But,
Right.
But like if you're not going to do it, then someone else is. And that's why we don't have people in the creative fields. We don't have people because they're still living that safety mindset. I'm like, yo, your parents live the immigrant's hustle already. Just get out of it.
I mean, I think a lot of it just comes down to whatever that you choose to do do it with sincerity, and then do it with excellence, right? If you're good at what you do, you will get paid. Right?
Oh, look
I
at
think-
this podcast.
I think there's two sides to the coin, right?
Go
One
ahead.
is
Yeah.
like you as a creative, like we don't have enough creatives. As that spark is starting to like increase, I would say over the last like couple of years, you also need to have the same spark on the other side. Like one thing that I really liked about the Muslim Professional event is one, it was actually truly professional, like genuinely like
Mashallah, it
well
was
run,
really, really good.
extremely well
Thank
run.
Thank you.
So shout out to all your event organizers.
Yeah, dude.
Because I know you just came up and talked.
Shout out to Ruba and everyone else. Yeah, Hannah, she killed it. Everyone killed it, dude.
No, so but the other thing is that also like I heard from some of the vendors themselves, they were very appreciative that like it was like paid and everything was like there. So like it was like a very professional approach, but you also supported the community, right? Like you supported these brands. I think that's where we actually mostly everyone can focus, right?
Yeah.
Like the number of times that I've heard about a business launch and then people are like, can I get a discount?
Or for free?
Or for free. And I'm like, man, like I'm actually the complete opposite. I'm like, don't give me a discount.
Yeah.
I want to buy one of every catalog that I can because I think that's so important. Like I think that mentality needs to supersede because otherwise like we're not incentivizing people to go try and do these types of things. So like, I mean, you clearly believe that, but do you have anything else to add to that like concept?
Yeah,
or?
no, I agree with you. And I said that at that talk actually, like one of the biggest things that we make a mistake on is if we don't buy from each other, then that supply and demand, like if you don't have the
economics of it,
demand,
yeah.
the economics of it, like you if
That's a
you
good point.
you need economies of scale to make prices lower. So everyone's always like, well, you know, the halal gelatin is like so
much,
expensive,
yeah.
like, you know, and I'm like, well, it's expensive until it's not. Like you have
Yeah.
to buy it. If people don't buy stuff, then it's not going to get cheaper.
I mean, I was
Right.
talking to the Hardy Food CEO because we started a halal marshmallow brand here in Dallas called Mellow, and we've been experimenting, right? And we did our pop up, and I was like, man, each of these marshmallows was like 25 cents, right, for us to make. And we were selling them. Alhamdulillah, nobody like complained about the pricing for us to just like kind of break even. But even when I did my automatic like vending machine for bubble tea,
Yeah.
right, I was barely scrapping by, and people would come up and I get it, like, oh, can I get a discount, can I get it for free? I was like, dude, each cup is like $7 right now. And that's like it being automated.
Yeah, I wish you still did
Yeah.
it, bro. I'd love to have it at one of the events, bro.
Inshallah, yeah. But I mean, that's the thing there, like with all these like early endeavors, that's really when you need the most amount of support, right?
Yeah.
And when we make it, then
then everyone comes
Then you
behind,
can get
yeah.
the discount. Then we can give
Yeah.
all those things. But I guess for you, now with Social Snowball exiting, I kind of want to see what is the next chapter for you that's ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be joining forces with my boy Atif. I actually met him through Muslim Professionals. He runs a company called Refunnel, and they kind of do something similar. I guess that's why I was like, yo, we got to delay this launch. But basically, essentially, we got to, like, one of the biggest ways that brands win is because of content being on social media. So why not reward people for making content? So the metric is different than Social Snowball. Social Snowball is based on sales.
Okay.
This is based off of content, views, and impressions.
And why is that more important?
Because you have to look at it at a brand awareness play. Like Muslim Professionals, for example, like the way that I market it, and I don't spend too much on paid dollars or anything. The way I looked at it was, I need people to start posting content about us because there's going to be an effect after 3 to 6 months where everything just exponentially increases, because what I'm developing is the brand. I'm not developing, like, my metric before used to be, I need to get users to sign up. Okay, well then I would just spend a little bit of money and then there would be a spike. Or Social Snowball, for example, same thing, spike. Then I was like, wait, if I build a brand similar to like what Apple is, right? They focused on like, making people remember that there's this logo, and this logo has like a mission behind it, a whole why, whatever. So I did that for Social Snowball, did really well, 5x the business within a year. Like, and, alhamdulillah. So I was like, okay, let me apply the same practices for Muslim Professionals. Now before we were at the stagnant growth of like 500 members to 1,000 members. And then every month it would be like, just like slow growth, 1,000 to 1,500. It was just 500 a month over month. Now we're seeing like 300 a week, 400 a week. And that number every week is increasing.
Right.
Why? Because I focus on the branding. We changed the landing page. We put a why to it. Grow together, win together became our slogan. It became much easier to remember. Oh, this group is about growing together. Okay, I get it. Like, it makes sense.
Your psyche immediately changes going to these spaces.
Yeah, before it was just like Muslim professionals is a networking group for blah 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 young professional Muslims that want to do business together. Like no one wants it, So I was like, scrap all that, grow together, win together, boom, and that's it. And then we started to get sponsors for the event. So I started telling them, look, I'm going to make sure your business grows. I'll make sure you guys get an ROI of some sort, or at the very least content for your pages. And then at the same time told the guests that are coming, hey, look, we're going to subsidize these tickets with the sponsors. You're going to have a good time. I'm going to curate the audience. That was all to build the brand. Now, like, you guys I'm on this podcast now. You guys were at the event, the other day. We just talked and you're like, hey, guys, we want you on. Why did that happen? Because there was some effect that you had from that like kind of like event, right? And you're like, all right, maybe this guy's kind of legit. I could be a fraud straight up. Like, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, we're still determining that. I'm
I literally called my wife and I was like, I don't know if these guys know who I am. I'm a bum. Like, I'm literally driving like a Honda over here. Like, do they
That's
think
how you know you're real, actually.
You know what I mean? Like,
how
I'm not
real
like, So in my head, I'm like, oh wow, I'm gonna be on a podcast. This is crazy. But that's what I'm saying. You got to build a brand.
Yeah.
That's what this kid did.
Yeah.
Literally, he's 20 years old and he doesn't even manufacture the nuts himself. All he did was packaging. That's so far, right? Like. And that's the thing, is people need to have a why for what they do. Their brand needs to have a why, and things will grow.
Yeah, man, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I think this is something I've learned over time, like branding, marketing, social media, because like my entire background is like more on the builder side, like behind the scenes. I'm always like, Naveed.
What do you do?
Naveed had to convince me to do this podcast. Actually, like we do this.
Really?
I work with startups, so I'm like sort of like a fractional COO for different organizations, and then I do a handful of other things as well. So,
nice.
But basically, like in this, like behind the scenes, like very technical background, computer science guy, like doing development stuff like that, right?
I did marketing for his business. That's how we met back in the day.
Yeah, so 6-7 years ago, we were like, okay, we got to like put this conference together, and it was like one of the earliest blockchain
conferences in DFW.
Nice. You guys are the Muslim blockchain guys?
We're not.
Was that someone else?
That's the Muslim Bitcoiner.
Okay.
Which I know them too. Very cool guys. But no, we held a conference that was more focused about the Dallas blockchain ecosystem.
That's sick.
So I had a lot of contacts, and basically we put together an event. Naveed helped us.
And that was big because we were like co-sponsored with like the University of Texas at Dallas, right? And then we were able to make it a CTE type of situation too. So we were able to get people from like McKesson and JP Morgan, right?
Yeah.
And this is a time we have like right now, blockchain and Bitcoin, like they're more.
What is blockchain? Terms. I don't even know.
Oh my god!
Oh, that's a. We'll talk about that at dinner.
It's a distributed ledger system. And that's all you need to know.
It's fundamentally, it removes the need for trust.
Okay.
Right. And I think that's the most powerful element of it that people really need to understand. But during that time, right, marketing and branding that was very challenging because
like 2016, 2017, I think.
Yeah, because at this point, like,
I still don't know what it is. So
the banks were rejecting it.
That's crazy.
They're like, this is fraudulent, this is fake, blah blah blah. And of course now, I mean, Coinbase just at S&P 500 earlier this week, right?
Yeah.
So
wild.
I mean, completely.
I've only lost money in crypto. That's why I just don't trust it.
You haven't stayed in it long enough.
I'm not a good investor, bro.
My advice to everyone is just buy Bitcoin and hold it and forget about it. That's my advice.
Yeah.
But the summary of like all of this is that I think like I'm just historically a builder. So I'm like, all right, well, people will come at some point. I mean, of course, like product market fit and all that, like that's important.
Yeah.
For sure. But like in terms of like, I just knew that wasn't me per se.
Yeah.
As time has progressed, like I'm like starting to post on my own social stuff, like starting to like do this podcast. It's like I'm starting to recognize that the value that's going to differentiate long term is going to really be like brands that you establish, whether that's like yay nuts, like what they're doing, or like you coming out and like saying it.
Yeah.
Like just say, hey, this is what I've done for 10 years. The amount of people that in the last like 4 or 5 weeks that have come to me that I've known for years, that are like, I didn't even know you did that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So like, this is why I think it's important. Like,
Yeah.
you said this earlier, closed mouths don't get fed.
Yep.
And we have to be unapologetically Muslim. We have to, if we want our deals out there, we have to speak it.
Yeah.
I'm still learning, but we have to like speak, right? We have to
Right.
say it. So
And stop watching content.
Yeah.
Create
Watch ours.
content. Create content.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, yes, you know, like listen to stuff and, you know, as long as it's educational, but don't get into doom scroll, bro.
100%. I mean, I would challenge everybody, if you know, whether it be Android or Apple, you see how much you consume, right, on the apps. Like,
It's very depressing when
on
I look at
Instagram.
mine.
Yeah. What I say, start off with, and when we say make content or be a creator, that doesn't always mean becoming an influencer online or doing that. It could be simple as just writing. Just write your thoughts. Take some time and reflect. Create something, because I think there is a sense of value in originality that you need to like hone in on. So if your hours time spent is 3 hours on Instagram, take away one of those hours and spend that 1 hour on creating, and eventually work towards reversing it, where you spend 3 hours creating and 1 hour consuming, right? And that 1 hour can eventually become inspiration and things like that. But I think it's a transitional point for a lot of us in our communities, as well, as we're kind of getting into these, creating these spaces, having these conversations that kind of lead to, inshallah, an environment that is more welcoming and more inspiring for the future generations. And, you know, you're doing exactly that. You're helping build that and cultivating that.
I hope so.
yeah, no,
I will say, when we
Sure.
left the event that your team had put together, man, we left, okay, there's an audience. There's people like us. We're not alone. And that was the, you know, home run in our brain. Like, all right, we really got to take this seriously. Whatever we're building, got to do it right.
Let's do a live podcast.
I'm down.
yeah, for sure. We
I
have
think
to.
I think you guys would be great hosts for some of the guests.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
I did it in high school. This is a plug for myself. But Peter Bergen, he was one of the first Western journalists who interviewed OBL, Osama bin Laden. And I remember I was asked to interview him, which in hindsight, I don't know why I was asked to interview him in Texarkana. But I was
You're
like,
a great communicator, Naveed.
But I mean, this is high school, man.
Yeah, you're
right?
probably good.
Did you have a beard back then?
I didn't. I mean, I had
That's
a
why.
loose.
Okay, they
stitching.
were like, all right,
Yeah,
this
loose
guy looks
stitching.
kind of like,
And,
make that guy feel right at home.
You really went in on the controversy cells.
I love it, man. I love it.
No, but Zohaib,
yeah.
I have to really say, like, I really like, I didn't really know, like, I know of you, but like, I really got a really good feel of like you from this interview, and like, you were so authentic, you were so open. You talked about topics that people struggle to like acknowledge themselves. I really want to commend you. I really want to appreciate you for doing that. Like, that's first, like, shows like just who you are and how you are. And honestly, I think it's also really good for people to like openly talk about these things. So from the bottom of my heart, like, really thank you for doing that. It's important.
Absolutely.
Thanks for making a platform. I mean, I need more podcasts to sponsors.
Perfect. We'll add on the list. But I know you have a Knicks game to watch.
Yes,
so
sir.
We'll let you go.
I
Appreciate you.
think like we're in the second half now.
Second half?
so
Okay, cool. We'll
let's
make
go
moves
watch
fast
it.
then. All right. Well, thank you so much, man.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Appreciate it. Like and salam.